Yes, people, I'm Srini and you are watching MTAG TV. Of course, you know why we're here today. We are here today to cover the semi-final of Euro 2020. Yes, we're finally here. I don't know how we're here, but we actually are here after just crazy football, like crazy days of football for sure. So yes, we are finally here. A very, very well-poised game. And let me introduce, well, not my guest, but like my teammates for tonight. Sir Sarthak Sharma, who's making his debut tonight, his first cap. It's a big day as well to make your first cap. Samrit is a regular. He's a veteran in the game, and Pranay is making a second cap. So yeah, let's not waste any more time. Italy versus Spain. Let's do a lineup reaction. So I'll read out the Spain lineup. Samrit, you read out the Italy lineup, and then we'll break everything down. So all right, the Spain lineup, and there are a couple of changes here. It's not as predictable as one would expect, but that's what you expect from Lucho Enrique. Unai Simon starts in goal. Aspilicueta, Eric Garcia, Aymeric Laporte, and Jordi Alba make up the back four. In midfield, you have Sergio Busquets, Koke, and Pedri. And up front, you have Ferran Torres starting as a number 9. You have Mikel Oyarzabal and Dani Olmo on the flank. So, couple surprises in there. Samrid, what's the Italy lineup?
We've got the PSG-bound Gianluigi Donnarumma starting in goal, consistent Di Lorenzo at right back. The proved centre-back pairing of Bonucci and Chiellini go forward. They make up an average age of 35, actually. At left back, we have the Chelsea outcast Emerson because, of course, because due to a torn Achilles, we don't have Spinazzola. We have a midfield 3 wherein Jorginho will be protecting the back 4. Marco Verratti will presumably be playing on the left-hand side of the midfield, and Nico Barella in his preferred position on the right-hand side of the midfield. The forwards, we have Insigne on the left, standard performer, of course, and then Chiesa has been preferred over Berardi again, and Immobile is our striker for the Italian team.
Fair play. So, Sarthak, let's go to you for this one. Immediate thoughts on that Italy lineup. What do you make of it?
Yeah, Srinivas, thanks for bringing me in. First of all, it's a great honor to be a part of this. And yeah, the first great team, a very predictable lineup in a way, because we knew that Emerson would probably have to come in and chip in for the injured Spinazzola, who's I think out for a few months. So there's no surprises there. I'm looking at this as a very, sort of like a very strong defensive setup, because when you look at Barella, Jorginho, Verratti, it's a solid base to work from, and then the likes of Chiesa, Immobile, and Insigne in particular. Insigne has been great. So I'm looking at this as a very well balanced defensively and attacking wise from Italy, and I think we're going to see a few goals in this game if Italy go all out in this one.
Fair points there, fair points. Samrit, do you echo Sarthak's points? What do you make of it? Because it's pretty standard, the lineup, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think all of us could have predicted this lineup. But I do feel Spinazzola is going to be a big miss. I feel Italy are not the team they are with Spinazzola. And Emerson hasn't played football for nearly 2 years. I mean, he's a Chelsea outcast, to be absolutely fair. So I'm excited to see the game because, as Sarthak mentioned, the midfield is quite resolute in the sense that they are going to protect the back four as well as be creative going forward. So hopefully a great game's in our hand. Pranay, what do you think of the Italian lineup?
Okay, so for the Italian lineup, it was pretty predictable, as you have already mentioned, but Spinazzola being the most consistently performing player in the team would definitely be missed. You raised a good point with Emerson not playing football, but I'm sure that backup would have already been prepared. So I expect Emerson to perform the same role as Spinazzola did, up to a certain extent. Other than that, my major issues is about Verratti and covering up. So we'll talk about that later. About the Spanish lineup, it's pretty interesting to see what they've done playing Ferran Torres as number 9. And I'll come back to it and I'll ask Srini about that. And so Srini, Ferran Torres as number 9, as a false 9, trying to break lines. What do you say about that?
I mean, it's a weird one. It's an interesting trade-off because even though Morata's missed a lot of chances, and I think Moreno and Morata have missed 11 big chances throughout the tournament, you have to say that Morata does a lot for the system as well. Like, I know his finishing is really, really poor, but the way Morata presses, the way Morata comes in deep to actually be involved in build-up, that's something that you have to give him credit for. And in that sense, it's not the best trade-off. But then I am happy with this selection because while Ferran Torres is not a natural striker, Spain are not going to get a million chances in this game, and he's probably their biggest or their best finisher. because Gerard Moreno, again, in the last game, he looked very rusty. Alvaro Morata has had a shocking tournament, if we're being very honest. So I like the fact that Ferran Torres is playing, and I also like the fact that Oyarzabal is starting because he's been brilliant whenever he's come on. Even in that game against Croatia, he scored. Even in the last game, Jan Soma had the game of his life. Otherwise, he'd probably score the winning goal in that game. And Danny Olmo as well, he's had a big impact. So I like the front three, and I like the fact that he switched things up because he was really sticking to Alvaro Morata for no reason throughout this tournament because he's been quite poor, if you're being very honest. But we've covered the lineups, boys. So I'll go to Samrit for this one. Key players wise, let's look at the Azzurri. Who's your key player?
I'm gonna go for Jorginho actually because I've seen him play a season long for Chelsea, and what you don't see in an international tournament where there are 5-6 games is that you don't get to know whether a player has a mistake in him or not. What I do know from Jorginho, seeing him play for Chelsea, is that there is always a mistake in Jorginho in terms of a missed pass or in terms of being, weak while being just absolutely tormented by the other midfield. And I feel what the Spanish midfield should do is attack the Italian midfield. So Jorginho having a good game is really important because Pedri covers a lot of ground. He's covered the most distance in this league in this year's Euros. So that's an issue that Jorginho will have to look after, and I believe Jorginho has to be completely constant. He has to concentrate on the game. He has to be intelligent with his decision making. So he's going to be my key player for today. I'm going to go to Sarthak next. Sarthak, who's your key player for today for the Italian team?
Yeah, thanks, Abid. I think when you're looking at the Italians, I would have to say that the back four is normally pretty resolute. And yes, though Emerson's come in for Spinazzola, I still do believe that they'll be pretty solid at the back. I think they've only conceded 2 goals in the tournament so far. But apart from that, I think looking forward, I would say Lorenzo Insigne to me has to be the man going forward. Ciro Immobile has had a great tournament as well so far, but I just feel like the extra bit of quality that Insigne brings, cutting in from the left, he's good with his set plays as well. He's great with his long range efforts, and the fact that he can link play pretty well too. So with the passing ability of someone like Jorginho and Verratti, and then the sort of the imagination of Insigne and going forward his technical ability as well. I look at Insigne today and I see that against the likes of Emerick Laporte and Garcia, I feel like he could have a big impact on this game. So I would say Insigne.
Fair point. Pranay, let's go to you. Is it a coincidence that you're wearing red and you're talking about Spain, or I don't know what's going on? But anyway, who's your key player for tonight when talking about Spain?
For me, key player for tonight obviously has to be Pedri and allow me to break down the Spain's build-up. So what usually happens is that we end up into a 4-2-3-1 with Koke usually dropping back. So Koke and Busquets, they usually drop back, allowing Pedri to move into a free space, which is the reason why he's covered the most ground in Euros, because he's the central creative playmaker, and also the fact that he's covered the most distance. So this allows Pedri to come somewhere centrally. So from the left, he usually comes into the center, receiving ball from either of Koke or Busquets, and then driving the ball forward. Now, one of the major problems with Italy is that when they're pressing high with their fullbacks, this usually leaves that space for somebody who's faster to run in behind, because they generally maintain a moderately high line. So that is why I guess we've used Ferran Torres, because he has that pace and he has the finishing ability to finish from slightly low XG chances. So that's why Pedri and Ferran Torres are my key players tonight. How about you, Srini?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. By the way, guys, Pedri has covered 61.5 kilometers this tournament. And the second highest is Thomas Souček, who's covered 57 kilometers. So, the gap is also pretty big. That shows you that, Pedri's work rate is incredible. I mean, I wrote a piece on Pedri, shameless plug, but I actually did. You go and check it out, though. But, yeah, I mean, when you compare even someone like Pedri to Nicolo Barella, who's one of the most sought-after box-to-box midfielders, Pedri's pressures per game throughout the season are 25, while Barella's are 17. That is staggering, considering you won't associate Pedri putting all that work in, but he really does. And at 18 years of age, he kind of is one of the most complete midfielders on the planet. Best is a bit of a strong word, but when you watch him play, he's been so instrumental. His and Jordi Alba's link up is probably one of the most essential things to me today. I mean, I could touch on how Eric Garcia has to have a great game because whenever Pau and Laporte play together, it's a bit of a mess because they're two lefties. But when we're talking about positives, I think I want that link up to really work because Jordi Alba's created the most chances at the Euros, 11 chances. Pedri's created 9. And if Spain, Spain are finishing like Brighton right now, which is this finishing is absolutely terrible. So that link up on the left hand side is very important because, as you said, when their fullbacks go forward, be that Di Lorenzo or be that even Emerson, on both sides you have to make sure that sort of you make those runs in behind so that the likes of Ferran Torres and Koke, who loves to make those runs inside the box as well, do so, and that's going to be very important. So I think Pedri and Jordi Alba are very essential for me in that respect. So I'll probably sort of focus on both of them. So yeah, Pedri and Jordi Alba. But let's take a couple of comments, guys, and then we'll focus on a lot. There's so much to talk about. It's such an interesting fixture, and I have a question for you guys after this. But let's wait for that for a second. Daksh Variani says, "Go Mancini." Yes, as a City fan, you would say that. I mean, anyone would say that. Look at Roberto Mancini. He's a beautiful man. Let's be honest. Arnav Deshpande says, "Cannot stand to see Spain reach the semis. Insane them being here. How mediocre they are." I will say they are mediocre, but I don't get why you're so angry. So tell us in the comments below why you're so angry and heated about Spain, man. What's going on? Nikhil Kumar Singh says, "Is Luis Enrique trying to play Oyarzabal as a false nine?" No, he's not, because Pep Guardiola has used Ferran in that role, and he probably will do that again. And even Enrique trusts Ferran more in that role than Gerard Moreno, interestingly enough. Daksh Variani says Torres for Spain because of the weak left back. For Italy, Barella for sure. Interesting points. And Arnav Deshpande lastly says, and he's planned to go out for the Youth Under-21 Olympics post the Euros. Madness. Yes, he's played 64 games this season. I mean, what they're doing with Pedri is child abuse. And Aditya's comments lastly. Aditya says, "To be honest, I feel like Lucho could be throwing a curveball with Olmo as a false nine and Mikel on the left and Ferran on the right. Olmo did play as a false nine at La Masia." Very interesting comment. All right. No issue. I mean, I said no issues because I saw Sarthak's comment in the private chat. I'm not even going to lie. It's okay if you have connection issues, you can't help it. But Sarthak, I'll go to you. I have a question, actually. Both of these teams are very possession dominant. Spain have historically always kept the ball, and Italy are playing the style of play which they refer to as Tiki Italia, which is a horrible name, but it is what it is. So, who do you think will have more possession on the night? Because both of these teams are uncomfortable without the ball. They've never had it. So, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I would say probably the Italians would have the ball a little bit more. The reason I say that is that this isn't the same Spanish team from the 2012 European Championships final against Italy, when they were actually playing the tiki-taka to the best of its ability and, winning the game 4-0. I would say probably, Jordi Alba comes as the only player to mind really from that team, probably Sergio Busquets, as, Alba scoring a goal in that game as well. So I would say the Italians, simply because I feel like they're in a better space. They're playing good football. They're confident in their abilities. Today, there are lots of changes to the Spanish team, as you guys have touched on. With no clear centre forward in the team, whether it's going to be Ferran Torres playing up front or it's going to be Dani Olmo as a false nine, as we just saw in one of the comments. I'm interested to see what it's like, but I do believe the Italians will have a little bit more of the ball. And you never know, with Luis Enrique, he's got a trick up his sleeve. So I'm pretty sure he's got a few, plans somewhere in the back there that he's going to try and exploit Italy at the back, kind of like Belgium did a couple of times, but couldn't really break through more than once. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to see what it's like, but I do think the Italians will have a little bit more football.
Fair point. I like that explanation right there. Samrit, I'll go to you. Let's assume that Spain don't have the ball. And the reason why I want to focus on Spain here is because Spain have never not had the ball for a good 30 years. Let's be honest. That is their style of play. That is their philosophy. How do they go about it if they don't do that? Because Italy are better at recycling the ball. Italy are much more industrious than Spain, and they're just a much, much better side. So if Spain don't have the ball, what do they do?
Well, they'll have to recover the ball as they've been doing all tournament. I mean, if you compare their ball recoveries, the Italians are not as good as the Spanish side. And I think that's also underrated with Pedri because of his movement. They're able to recover the ball a lot more than the Italian side. So I feel they'll have to recover the ball. And I agree with Sarthak in the sense that even though the stats may show that the Spanish team should have the ball more in terms of passing accuracy, in terms of the number of passes attempted and all of that, But if you just generally have a look at the game, you look at the Italian midfield, you compare it to the Spanish midfield, I feel that the Italian midfield should go forward and take the initiative. They should have that passing in that midfield around Barella, Jorginho and Verratti trying to, release their forward, because Chiesa on that left-hand side is going to be a handful for Azpilicueta, who's not as agile as anymore, if I'm being completely honest. So that's what my views are. Shini, what do you think about the whole possession issue? Because it's a tricky question in that sense, because both teams can have also equal possession. So I want to know what your views are on this front.
You know what? I'll actually go to Pranay, because Pranay, by the way, guys, has done a lot of research for tonight, right? वो पढ़ के आया ठीक से. So let's go to him, and then I'll give my viewpoints as a Spanish fan as well. But Pranay, break it down for us. What do you think? How do you think Spain can work? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just break down the Italy-Belgium game and some of the loopholes that Italy have that we can utilize as the Spanish side. Now, one of the bigger problems that Belgium did early on in the game was that they did not press the centre-backs high enough, which allowed one of De Lorenzo or Spinazzola, otherwise now Emerson, to drop back and dictate possession. Now, with him not there, usually De Lorenzo was the one who would drop off, create a back three, which allowed Marco Verratti to move leftwards. Now, with Marco Verratti moving leftwards, this would create a free roaming space for Insigne, which would then either drive on to the final third or take the ball deep. So one of the bigger problems that Insigne is going to pose is for actually Aymeric Laporte, who's going to play on that side, because he has to decide whether to press Insigne or not. One of our midfield pivot, either of Koke or Busquets, need to decide whether to provide a cover shadow for him or not. And Koke would be responsible for man marking either of Insigne or Marco Verratti. Now, because Marco Verratti drops off, that will be a difficult point, and that is the main focal area of Italian build-up, because more than about 50% of all chances have been created through that left-hand side. So we need to be aware of that. For Spain, because Italy will also look to counter press, Spain should also adopt a similar approach. After losing the ball, they would have to go for a trigger press somewhere either on the Emerson side, because what happens is, because Emerson has not played, he would not be that much sharp. So what can happen is that we can have a trigger press at Emerson, which would allow the Spanish back line to move as high using the midway line as the offside line, which will allow a side overload. Now, when that happens, you can press the centre backs and the full backs. So we can create a 1v1 situation with all four of the Italian backline. Now, because they don't have the pace, we can utilize Ferran Torres there, because he can drop off or make a run in behind. Pedri will have to drop off somewhere in between using the Marco Verratti model, either go leftwards or go central. So he will be responsible for carrying the ball forward instead of Koke, and that would allow a quick interchange between Busquets, Koke and Pedri. So if either of the pivot of Nicola Barella or Marco Verratti decide to cover or man mark each one of them, that will leave one person to do a quick overplay, which will allow, because Ferran Torres is not dropping off somewhere in between, creating a diamond in the center. This would allow a quick interchange, and that is the focal point of attention as per me. That is all that
well, that was brilliantly analyzed. I hope Luis Enrique has this plan, man. I think you should send him a picture or something like that, because if he doesn't, we'll lose tonight. But yeah, just from a Spanish fan perspective, I mean, yeah, as you said, it's important for Pedri to find those spaces, and it's kind of why, you know what, I was criticizing Lucho at the start of the tournament for not starting Thiago, because in 2021 he's been brilliant. Even though people would like you to believe that he's had a trash season, that's not true at all. He's actually settled in very well, and it's probably one of Liverpool's best players at the back end of the season, right? And I was very critical of that, but what Pedri and Koke offer you is that they're very industrious, especially Koke. Koke's pressing is so underrated. Like, I don't remember which game it was. I think it was the second group game. Spain missed a penalty, but the reason why Spain got that penalty is because Koke pressed a defender in a situation where he wouldn't be expected to do anything. And that's where the Spanish can beat the Italian midfield, is where technically I think they go toe-to-toe with them. But someone like Jorginho is still protected by someone like Nicolo Barella and Marco Verratti, who can pretty much do anything in the middle of the park. And to have the likes of Pedri and Koke would be very important, because as we've mentioned on the show, someone like Ferran Torres does have that pace. Someone like Dani Olmo doesn't have pace, but he can release the ball much quicker because he is an attacking midfielder by trade. Someone like Oyarzabal's decision-making has been brilliant as well. So that mix of having such technical footballers and making the right decisions is going to be very important, because this is probably the worst kind of game that Spain could play against a team that like to have the ball, right? Because if they played against an England, they'd be much more comfortable, for example, because they know exactly how England go about it. Italy are Spain into three. They're like a much better version of Spain. Spain are pretty mediocre, as has been mentioned before the tournament, before in the comments. Sorry, they have kind of lucked their way to this position, if we're being very honest. There's spells where they look absolutely incredible, and there's spells where they look ordinary, like against Switzerland. So let's hope that they have a plan B. Otherwise, they could be in for a tough night. But Samrit, you wanted to add to that?
I have a question actually. I mean, I understand the analysis in the front, but if you look at the Spanish back four, Jordi Alba is very industrious. He loves going forward. Azpilicueta, I have my reservations against him defensively at least. And if you look at the centre back pairing, they haven't played much club football, and Garcia has also just gone. So I just want to know your views. I mean, I understand that you would want to break down the Italian defense, but you also have to be resolute in the sense that if you're being man-marked, probably the Spanish team will have to sit back and protect. I mean, the likes of Busquets, Koke, and even Pedri for that matter might have to protect the back foot, because in my eyes, the back foot is a little bit shaky, and Chiesa might have a great time on that left-hand side. That's what I'm predicting. But I just want to know your views on that front. Yeah, Yashni, go ahead.
Yeah. I think tonight what Spain need to do especially is, and then we'll go to Sartak because we'll cover Italy. But just quickly on this, I think it's very important for Azpilicueta to play in a back three. So he has to drop deep and make sure that Spain set up in a back three when they're out of possession, and even in possession to an extent, because Azpilicueta has never been an amazing attacking threat in general. So we don't really miss out in that sense at all. I actually wanted to see Spain go for a back three before the tournament as well, because you have someone like Adama Traore who could have been lethal in those group games as a wing back. I know he tried to do that for Wolves, so I would have liked to see something like that, because Pau Torres is a much better defender than Eric Garcia. But Eric Garcia and Aymeric Laporte don't work. You saw that in the last game as well, because Laporte also tends to come onto that LCB side, and Pau Torres plays there as well. So there's a lot of positional confusion that happens. That's why against Croatia, for example, Spain were coasting 3-1, and then they just give two free headers because they're not comfortable in that position. Pau Torres and Laporte want to play in the same position. So as much as I'm not a fan of Eric Garcia, because I am a City fan, so I know what Eric Garcia is all about, at the same time, you kind of have to have a right footer and a left footer, because with these two guys, for some reason, it just does not work. But you can't help it. That's why we can go back to how Luis Enrique's selections were not great for the tournament. He decided to take 24 men. He could have taken someone like a Hermoso. He could have taken a Nacho, at least someone more experienced. But, it is what it is. Sarthak, let's go to you. So I think it's a very obvious statement to say that, the game will be won and lost in midfield, because that all of the build-up is around that. So let's make it a little more fun. If you had to predict a man of the match for tonight, tell us who it is and tell us why. I hope Sarthak's with us. Technical difficulties. I think he's back. Sarthak, are you here? Yes or no? Slight connection issue.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, okay. My connection's not great. Yeah, please repeat that.
Yeah. Did you hear my question, or should I repeat myself?
Yeah, can you just repeat it, please? Sorry.
Yeah, okay. No worries. Guys, it's an internet issue. Don't judge us. It happens. We don't have perfect internet like you. Don't judge us, all right? Drop some love in the comments for Sarthak. But Sarthak, my question is, right, it's very obvious to say that the game will be won and lost in midfield. We've touched on Marco Verratti, Jorginho, Pedri, etc. So let's make it more interesting. If you had to predict a man of the match for tonight, right, tell us who your pick is and tell us why he would be your man of the match for tonight, because we've touched on a key player, but a man of the match in such a game is different. In such a game, anyone could be a man of the match. It's probably a night for stories to be written, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, if I was to look at a man of the match, I would say someone with the output which fans probably casual fans wouldn't normally look at, which is why I would say the same name that Samrit raised earlier about Jorginho. Because a lot of his impact sometimes to casual fans will go a little bit, sort of unnoticed. But managers know how important a player like him is. it's almost as if, the importance of a Declan Rice to the England team, or, a Jordan Henderson or someone like that. When you look at our N'Golo Kante for that matter, it's like it's that position wherein you need to be quick, you need to make sure you're defensively sound, which Jorginho is. Make sure you're keeping play running. You're quick. Make sure you put in the tackles at the right time. And Jorginho himself has a little bit of an intensity to his game, which I feel like sometimes a lot of the players in the Italian squad probably don't have. When you look at the big match experience as well, Jorginho having just been with Chelsea and won the Champions League as well makes a big difference. There are certain players in that team now which I feel like are ready to win a big tournament. Now, I'm not going here and predicting that Italy are going to go on and win the tournament. But what I'm saying is, when you have players like Jorginho in your team, you get that certain level of intensity, and it's a manager's dream to have a player like him. And additionally, he also takes penalties and he pretty much never misses, right? So when you add that sort of thing up, and this could very well become a game that is decided by certain moments in a match. Now you look at the way that Spain line up today, and we could see Italy pushing up quite a bit from the wings with Chiesa and Insigne possibly, and with Emerson as well. Emerson loves to push forward on that left hand side too, which we've seen at Chelsea. There could be a possibility of a foul or two inside the box, especially with Eric Garcia playing alongside Laporte today, as you guys have touched upon. There is a possibility of a potential foul somewhere inside the box. When you have someone like Jorginho, once again, I come back to him, all he needs is one chance. And if he's going to put that away, I think that could very well decide who makes it through to the final. So I would say man of the match performance for his overall importance to Italy in general in this tournament, as well as the potential impact he could have, I would say Jorginho.
That's a great shout. I mean, as you said, casuals may think that Jorginho is limited in this and that. And while they may have a point, if you watch the Euros, Jorginho has been one of my players of the tournament. Easy. I think he's in the top five. Yeah. He's been sensational. I don't think. I mean, my entire theory is if there's a player who's a bit limited, instead of accusing him or replacing him, you could have players around him who could do the dirty work and make up for it so that you can get the best out of him. CC Paul Pogba, for example. But Samrit, let's go to you. Sarthak has touched on Jorginho. Do you have the same pick, or are you going to go for someone else? Because Insigne scored a banger in the last game, so not a bad shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go. Sarthak went for my pick. I was going to go for his pick only. In fact, I was going to go for Insigne, simply because he's had 2 goals, and I feel Azpilicueta is going to be troubled a lot because he keeps cutting in from the left hand side. And I also understood during Pranay's analysis of the reason why Marco Verratti keeps moving to the left hand side, and I feel Marco Verratti is also creative enough to get Insigne behind Azpilicueta, take him one-on-one every single time. So that left-hand flank, I mean, I wish Spinazzola was there, because that left-hand side would have been absolutely crazy. But Emerson loves going forward, and you never know. I mean, I hope he's fueled up. But I'm going to go for Insigne because I believe he's going to get a goal today as well. He scored 2 this tournament. Let's get a 3rd one, and let's get Italy to the finals. So Insigne is going to be my pick.
Fair play, man. Pranay, let's go to you. Now, we'll do predictions after this, and then you'll actually... I mean, Pranay and I are not blindly just backing Spain. I mean, I personally am very underconfident tonight. I'm not going to lie. I'm expecting a pasting. But if you had to pick a man of the match for Spain, who's it going to be, and why is it Pedri?
I've already said my man of the match pick, so I'll tell you why. Now, I'll just go back slightly tactically, and I'll tell you why Pedri. So what usually happens is either of the left backs of Gaia, because Gaia was more aggressive. I was slightly surprised he was not picked. Now Alaba will be industrious going forward, and he'll try and create a one-on-one there. This will allow Pedri somewhere to drop and free or free. Now Pedri in the game versus Croatia was able to deliver 5 key passes. So now when you look at that field, look at that particular place and see someone like him putting more than 2 or 3 key passes in a game, you understand that the space given to him is so important, and that is where Ferran Torres' space will come through. And Pedri needs to have the game of his life tonight, because everything creatively will depend on him. But I know he can handle pressure. He was playing with Lionel Messi in Barcelona, and he was performing superbly there. So I am actually slightly more confident than Srini that Pedri will have a good game and Spain will have a good game. What about you, Srini? Why Pedri for you?
I mean, I think Pedri is the truth, man. He's 18 years old, and the way he's playing, outstanding midfielder. I'm not particularly sure because Jordi Alba could be very crucial as well, as I touched on, because that Pedri Alba link up is just cash money right there. But you know what? I'll go for Sergio Busquets actually. If he, I don't know if he'll actually win the man of the match, but Sergio Busquets has been brilliant since he's come back. By the way, fun fact: he has won 2 man of the matches, but he's very important in that role. Like you can see the stark difference between when Rodri plays in that role and when Busquets plays in that role, because Jorginho would sort of aspire to be a Sergio Busquets because he's not someone who's super aggressive in the tackle like an N'Golo Kante, because he's always perfectly positioned. I mean, we don't need an introduction to who Sergio Busquets is. He is one of the greatest midfielders of all time. But even at his age, he's just timeless, and his passing, his ball progression, the areas he takes up, so that pressers sort of he basically, what he does is that, like, he'll take up positions where like 2 or 3 pressers drawn towards him, and it'll create spaces for Koke or for Pedri. So I think Sergio Busquets is just so important in that team. And in a game like this, Sergio Busquets is very important because even though it's cliched, he is their captain, and he's been there, he's done that, he's been in every possible big game. And also because I don't want to go for Pedri because Pranay has, I'll go for Sergio Busquets, because just like how Jorginho is important in that team, Sergio Busquets is the MVP for sure. We've seen the stark difference he's made. So I'll go for Sergio Busquets for how he progresses the ball, for how he's still an amazing defender, and for the fact that he's just a legend of the game, man. But let me take a couple of the comments, and then we will do predictions. So many comments, by the way. Thank you so much, guys. Arnav Deshpande. Oh, I already read that comment. Aditya. Okay, I read that comment as well. Ronak Dhiman says, Aspi and Alba crucial for the backline today. Let me tell you something. I trust Aspi much more than Alba, unlike Samrit, because Alba is more of a wing back for me. Alba is amazing, but Gaia is the more solid option. That's why Barca won Gaia, because you have Alba in those. That's why Barca played 3-5-2, by the way, because Alba bombs forward and his pace is still amazing. He is still elite. But it's defensively where he still has issues, but he's been great in the tournament. So let's hope that he has another great game. Aditya agrees with me. He says Busquets is the key player for me today. He is the key player for me today as well, man. If Sergio Busquets has a great game, I think everyone else is going to have a great game. Daksh Varyani says, my man of the match is Ciro Immobile. He'll score today. Do you actually think that, or is he in your fantasy team? Let us know in the comments below. But anyway, let's get on to prediction. Yeah, it's probably that. Sarthak, I'll go to you. What is your prediction, and who are your goal scorers?
I'm going for Italy 3, Spain 1. I'm going for an Italian win. Today. Also because I predicted that in the UEFA games thing. But no. To be very honest, I think it's because I feel like they have enough in the tank. I think we've spoken about it a little bit. I'm not convinced with the whole Spanish lineup, though I do feel like you can't write them off. Luis Enrique has a trick or two up his sleeve, but I do believe that going forward, I don't think Spain have enough with Dani Olmo, Oyarzabal, and especially without Morata and Moreno being there. So not being there. Yeah. So whether they'll be able to do it or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I just feel like it's going to be the Italians' 3-1 win. My goal scorers, I'm backing Lorenzo Insigne to score today. I think he will, like Samrit mentioned. Immobile as well, I do think will score. These 2 players for me, potentially one of them getting 2. But yeah, maybe Chiesa, but I would say probably a 3-1 win, and these 2 on the score sheet for sure.
You're breaking my heart with that prediction, man. But it makes sense to me. I mean, it take a very brave man to actually go for Spain, unless Pranay, back Spain, because he's basically Luis Enrique with the kind of plans he's coming out with tonight. But Samrit, let's go to you. Do you think Italy are going to win 5-1, 6-1? What are you thinking?
No, I'm actually going to be a little adventurous here. Because both teams have an average around, they score 2 goals a game. Let's go for a 2-2 and let's go to penalties. Let's see what we go. Let's have a great semi-finals. My goal scorers for Spain, I'll have Ferran Torres because of his movement. Let's have Morata off the bench come and score 1 and shut you up, Srini, for sure, because you have gone after him today. And for Italy, Marco Verratti scores a banger, and let's have Insigne score a goal. So 2-2, and Italy win in pens.
You know what? If Marco Verratti scores the winner, I actually won't be mad, because Samrit, you know how much I love Marco Verratti. But let's go to you, Pranay, and let's hope there's penalties, by the way, because we got to see another lit game, man. The Euros have been absolutely unreal. Pranay, what's your prediction and who are your scorers?
Okay, so I'm going to give a very detailed prediction. It's going to be a 2-2.
Yeah, that's a surprise, Pranay.
It's going to be a 2-2 till
it.
full time. 3-3 by the time we're ended with extra time, and then we'll see about penalties.
Wow. And who are your scorers, man?
So one of my scorers is Ferran Torres. The other one is either of Dani Olmo or Pedri. I'm hoping he scores. Please, God. Or Koke.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Either of the midfielders was going to score. For Italy, I'm assuming that Lorenzo Insigne is going to score too, because he can convert from low XG chances and from the left. That guy is an absolute monster. For the extra time, I wish Alvaro Morata scores one, or anyone who comes from the bench scores one. For Italy, it's going to be either of Nico Barella or somebody from a corner like a Chiesa who can whip the ball and somebody can take a header, because that'll make a really good game, because it'll add variety. Aerial ability will add variety, and Italy are good there. So, and then fingers crossed, whatever happens in penalties, Spain should win.
Yeah, man. You said variety, and I felt like saying Marco variety for no reason. But let's just pretend that I didn't even think of that. Prediction wise, I mean, gut feeling wise, I'd probably go for an Italy win. But you know what? I've got to back my team. I don't see how we're going to keep a clean sheet, but might as well. I'm saying 1-0 Spain after extra time, and Koke is going to score the winner out of everyone for some reason. I think there's going to be a Ferran cutback or an Aspi cutback, and Koke is going to score and Spain are going to win. But I'm probably lying to myself, let's be honest, because Italy are going to batter Spain 6-1, and I'm not going to get to sleep tonight. But all right, we've covered pretty much everything, but Sarthak actually made a good suggestion in the private chat. Or was it Samrit? I think it was Samrit. Yeah, it was Samrit. But anyway, very quickly, boys, no analysis because we've done a lot of analysis tonight. Pranay, I'll go to you. Tell me that one sub who's going to make the difference off the bench.
Alvaro Morata.
Simple. Alvaro Morata, you think he's going to do the business? By the way, I rate Alvaro Morata, but his finishing is worse than Timo Werner's, if we're being honest. Otherwise, he's a very good footballer. There's no denying that. But his finishing...
Timo Werner has a wallpaper of Alvaro Morata stuck somewhere, and he's not telling us why.
Yeah, man, his finishing is criminal. I mean, how are you a striker if you're finishing like that? But anyway, Alvaro Morata could make the difference. It makes for a beautiful story for sure. Sarthak, let's go to you. If one person could make the difference off the bench, who are you going for?
Yeah, it's difficult not to say Morata, to be honest. If I was to go for a Spanish player to do it, I would have to say Morata as well, definitely. Maybe Moreno, but I do think Morata will come on at some point in the game. Especially if my prediction of 3-1 is going to happen, he'll definitely have to come off the bench to try and make an impact. So yeah, so I think that player does sort of strike out to me as well as one of the players that could have a big impact in the game.
Fair point, Samrid. You could go for an Italian player as well. So yeah, who's your pick, man?
I'll go for an Italian player. I'll go for Belotti because he wasn't present during the Belgium game. I mean, his most significant contribution was faking an injury. So, so I feel if everything's stalemate and if you need a goal, then perhaps Mancini can look at Belotti and let's see. Hopefully, he's the change maker off the bench.
Fair point, man. Fair point. I actually don't know who I'm going to go for. So this is brilliant content. I'm actually stuck between, I don't know why I keep thinking Manuel Locatelli, but then Manuel Locatelli did kind of change the game when he came on against Austria. Oh man, because great. This is great, by the way. I'll go for Manuel Locatelli. Why not? I've not touched on Italy at all. And by the way, I do want Italy to win the Euros in general because I think they're a brilliant team. And I definitely don't want England to win it because I can't stand the whole "it's coming home" chant. But yeah, I'll go for. Are you an England fan?
I wanted to say it's not coming home; it's coming to Rome.
Yeah, man, it really is coming to Rome. No, man, I like England to be fair, but it's the fans that really get on my nerves. But anyway, moving on from that, I'll go for Manuel Locatelli because firstly, I do feel that he should be starting in this team. As much as I'm a big Marco Verratti stan and all of that, but I do think Manuel Locatelli has kind of been the best midfielder all tournament. He's a bit of a goal scorer. He can play as a regista. He's a great tackler. He's a great ball progressor. Played the pass of the tournament for me when he scored the first of his brace. The pre-assist I don't even know if it's a pre-assist. It's a pre-assist to himself in a sense, but it was an amazing cross-field pass. And I think Manuel Locatelli could make a big difference on the night. So yeah, Manuel Locatelli in extra time would just be brilliant. So yeah, Manuel Locatelli is my pick. But anyway, guys, we made all our predictions. Let's see what comes out true. I'll take a couple of the comments as well because Aditya has touched on how he's going to watch the Copa America. Oh my God, man. You need to get to sleep. He says if it goes to penalties, I'm going to have 2 hours of sleep. Guys, are you going to watch the Copa America by the way today? I don't know. I may watch
it. Argentina playing. I have to.
Oh man, I'm tempted. It's too much though, man. When am I going to get to sleep then?
It's a final though. We'll go for it, bro. We'll watch it.
Yeah, why not? Might as well. Daksh says, gonna watch my first Copa America match today as well. Can't wait for Argentina versus Brazil. Yeah, man, neither can I. And I want Messi to win his first international trophy. But you'd love to see it, don't you? Aditya says, Spain 2, Italy 0. Wow, that's a bold prediction right there. But Aditya's a big Spain fan, so not surprised to see that. Daksh Variani in the comments says, Italy 2, Spain 1. Immobile and Berardi off the bench. Laporte assists. They always go for Spain. This guy's a City fan, by the way, which is why he's gone for a Laporte assist. How is that going to happen? Anyway, Shaurya Tyagi says, will it be a boring game or can we realistically expect goal? All right, very quickly, this is the last comment we're taking, by the way. Shout out to all you guys for all the comments. But Samrit, I'm going to go to you. Do you expect a fun game or do you expect a boring game? Because it could be a case where both teams can't break each other down because they're just going to have 50% of the possession each, and it's a bit of a dull affair. So yeah, what do you make of that comment?
For Spain, it's going to be just get that first goal in, because I've noticed this pattern with Spain wherein if they get a goal or two in, then they start actually playing the great football we like seeing them play. But definitely, if you look at the stats, both teams are capable of making chances and scoring. They both average 2 goals a game. So having a 2-2 is pretty much my prediction. And we can realistically, yes, expect goals. This is not like the English game that we predicted, Srini. These are 2 midfields who want to win it. And I believe that 2-2 is not an unrealistic expectation of this game. So, Shaurya, let's go for it. Let's get some goals today.
Yeah, man, that's a good shot. To be fair, I've gone for a 1-0 because I want Spain to win and I want that to happen. But Italy are devastating on the counter with possession. They play they can attack you in so many different ways that they could batter Spain. And Spain creates so many chances as well. I mean, they're the highest scoring team in the competition for a reason. So yeah, man, it could be a 2-2 or a 3-3, like Pranay said. Sarthak, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. I mean, I don't believe it will be too cagey. Though I think the first 5-10 minutes they might try to spar a little bit, figure each other out. Especially with the probably the question marks over the formation that Spain might have for this game. But I do think that we will see a banger of a match, and I do think that fans can be super excited for this game and look forward to a few goals being scored. Yeah, so not a boring game in my book.
Yeah, not a boring game at all. I just wish that, I wish the English government allowed every fan to be in the stadium, because Roberto Mancini touched on that. He's really annoyed that the stadium isn't full of half Spanish fans and half Italian fans, because it makes for a proper atmosphere, man. This is a big semi-final. It's a fun semi-final as well. It's not evenly poised, but these 2 teams are going to entertain you regardless. Also, because when Spain score, there's a comedy of errors at the back. But let's leave that aside. Sarthak, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say there's another reason why I want to see fans, mostly right. Italians, because I want to hear that national anthem and the power and the what they bring to it. It's great to watch. Yeah. It's great to watch, and it's just amazing to see the passion that they have, because it translates to the fans as well, and it makes for it makes it real. I would say that makes it real, and I can see that this Italian team is extremely together and well knit, very close knit group. And it makes a great, great opening to the game, if nothing else. It gets the fans all pumped up. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, man, 100%. But guys, we've covered everything. Thank you so much for the comments, by the way. You spam the comments. We love to see it. And I always tell you guys, where do you guys want to see us? Do you want to see us do YouTube lives? Do you guys want to see us do Insta lives, Clubhouse, Tinder? No, not Tinder, sorry. But where do you guys want to see us? Let us know. Of course, subscribe to the channel, like the video, follow the boys on the socials. Check out the website in the description below, because we're dropping content daily. Watch the Copa America, because you only live once. I'm going to watch it. Why not? I'm going to stay up. It's okay. The game's the game. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's hope there's a let's hope tonight's a great game, because if it's a dud, what's the point? And if it is, there should be penalties. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, we move.